It's 2 a.m. Your body is begging for rest, but your mind has other plans. You're replaying a conversation from 3 years ago, rewriting a response for the 40th time. Then you're 5 years into the future, watching your life unravel in a scenario you invented 30 seconds ago. You know it's irrational. You know none of it is real, but you cannot stop. Your skull has become a courtroom that never adjourns, and you are always on trial. When the alarm goes off, you drag yourself upright on borrowed energy, pretending you slept, pretending you're fine, while the engine behind your eyes never once stops running. Here is what I need you to hear before anything else. You are not broken. You are not weak for not being able to just stop thinking. This is not a character flaw. Your brain is executing a survival protocol that was designed for a world of predators and famine. Except you don't live in that world anymore. You live in a world of infinite information, constant comparison, and zero resolution. Your alarm system is not malfunctioning. It's functioning perfectly inside an environment it was never built for. The noise in your head is not neurosis. It is an ancient engine running on corrupted modern fuel. But here's what no therapist, no productivity guru, and no just meditate influencer has ever explained to you. Your overthinking isn't random. It follows a very specific architecture, a pattern that was diagnosed over 2,000 years ago by a man who wrote philosophy while standing at the right hand of one of the most deranged emperors in human history. He didn't just understand the mechanism. He built a protocol to dismantle it night after night in conditions that would have broken anyone alive today. What he discovered about the relationship between suffering and imagination will change the way you experience your own mind. We'll get there. But first, you need to understand what your brain is actually doing to you when it refuses to shut up. Seneca didn't write from safety. He wrote from the inner circle of Nero, a paranoid, murderous emperor who burned Rome to the ground and executed his own mother for sport. Every morning, Seneca woke up knowing it could be the day the Praetorian Guard chased down his door. His political allies were being assassinated. His wealth made him a target. His influence made him disposable. He breathed the ash of a collapsing civilization and still managed to produce some of the most psychologically precise writing in human history. Not because he was sheltered from chaos, but because chaos was the only environment he knew. He was a man who mastered his internal world precisely because his external world was designed to destroy him. Seneca identified what we now call the architecture of imaginary suffering, the mind's compulsive tendency to simulate pain that does not yet exist. He wrote a single sentence that cuts through 20 centuries of psychological noise. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Read that again. Not sometimes, not occasionally, more often. The majority of your suffering is manufactured by your own cognition. Overthinking is not thinking too much. It is narrating too much. It is your mind constructing elaborate courtrooms, casting you as the defendant, and staging full trials for events that either already happened or may never happen at all. You are not analyzing your life. You are prosecuting yourself inside a simulation. Every 2 a.m. spiral, every catastrophic prediction, every rehearsed argument is your brain presenting fiction as evidence and charging you interest on a debt you may never owe. This is not preparation. This is self-inflicted sentencing. Now you understand the mechanism. Your mind doesn't overthink at random. It builds courtrooms and forces you to stand trial inside them. But here's the part that stings. Knowing this changes nothing by itself, because the moment you try to stop the spiral, you'll discover something deeply uncomfortable. You don't actually want it to stop. Part of you has come to believe that the overthinking is keeping you safe. That if you stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios, you'll be caught off guard. That the anxiety is a form of preparation. It is not. It's a form of self-imprisonment dressed as diligence. And what makes it worse, it was installed, not by accident. I am going to show you exactly how you build this prison, brick by brick. Let me be direct. You don't just overthink. You identify with it. You have turned it into a personality trait. I am an overthinker. You said it out loud. Probably more than once. Maybe with a nervous laugh, as though it's endearing. It is not. It's a cage you have decorated. Here is the brutal truth. You use overthinking as a substitute for action. Every hour you spend analyzing whether to send the message, start the project, leave the relationship, have the conversation, is an hour you spend feeling productive without producing a single thing. Overthinking gives you the illusion of progress. It lets you feel thorough, careful, responsible, when what you actually are is afraid. Afraid that if you'll act, you'll fail. Afraid that if you choose, you'll choose wrong. Afraid that if you stop preparing and start living, reality will confirm what the voice in your head has been whispering all along, that you are not enough. So you stay in the loop, because the loop, as excruciating as it is, feels safer than the verdict. And the system loves you for it. An overthinker is the perfect consumer. You'll scroll endlessly, looking for that one article, that one video, that one opinion that will finally resolve the internal debate. You refresh, compare, doubt, and consume. You never commit to a decision, a direction, an identity. Because commitment means closing doors, and the algorithm needs your doors to stay wide open. Every notification is a new threat for your mind to pull. Every headline is a new worst-case scenario to rehearse. Every social feed is a new comparison to spiral over. This is not accidental. The attention economy is built on unresolved tension. Your overthinking mind is the most profitable engine they have ever found. You are not broken. You are monetized. Your inability to sit in silence is someone else's quarterly earnings report. So that is where you stand. You see the mechanism. You felt the recognition. And now it's binary. You can take everything I just said, call it interesting, and go back to the 2 a.m. courtroom, back to the rehearsal of conversations that will never happen, back to the comfortable agony of thinking about life instead of living it. Or you can decide right now, not after more analysis, not after sleeping on it, not after one more explanation, that the loop ends here. Because the protocols I'm about to give you are not for people who think about change. They are for people who've already decided for change. The question is, have you? What follows are 3 protocols forged from Stoic architecture and modern cognitive science. Not theory, not inspiration, operational discipline. Protocol 1, the fact-fiction audit. When your mind spirals, it blends reality with invention so seamlessly, you lose the ability to distinguish one from the other. This protocol forces a surgical separation. The moment a spiral begins, grab a pen, not a phone, and draw a vertical line down the center of the page. On the left, write the undeniable, provable facts, things admissible in a court of law. And on the right, write the fiction, the catastrophic assumptions, the mind reading, the projected worst-case narratives your brain is presenting as certainty. When you force your fears onto paper, something collapses. You realize that about 90% of what is terrorizing you is a story, not a fact, a story. You are running from a phantom, and the pen is what makes it visible. Seneca performed this exact practice nightly, separating what is within his control from pure invention. This is not journaling. This is a cognitive audit, a nightly separation of signal from noise. Protocol 2, the containment window. The herd tries to suppress anxiety all day. That guarantees it controls them. You will not try to suppress it. You will contain it. Every evening at a set time, 8 p.m., non-negotiable, you will sit down for exactly 15 minutes. During this window, you will have total permission to spiral, obsess over every detail, let your mind go completely dark. But when the time ends, the session is violently terminated. Notebook closed, and step back into reality. If a catastrophic thought surfaces at 9 p.m., you will tell your brain, "We will process this tomorrow at 8. This is not avoidance. This is training. You are teaching your nervous system that anxiety no longer dictates your schedule. It'll get the scraps of time you decide to give it. Over days, then weeks, something shifts. The spirals begin to obey the boundary, because for the first time, your mind encounters something it hasn't felt from you before. Authority. Protocol 3, the sensory override. When the mental spiral hits so hard your chest tightens and your breath shortens, you must violently drag your consciousness back into the physical world. Use the 3, 2, 1 override. Immediately name 3 things you can physically see and say them out loud. Focus on 2 things you can physically touch. The texture of fabric, the cold of a surface, the floor beneath your feet. Identify 1 thing you can hear in this exact seconds. This is a neurological pattern interrupt. By forcing your brain to process real-time sensory data, you pull the emergency brake on the simulation. You remind your nervous system that right here, right now, you are safe. Reality is quiet, and it's only the illusion that is loud. Do this every single time the spiral attempts to start, not when it's convenient, every single time, until your brain learns that you are no longer a willing participant in the trial. Picture this: 6 months from now, you lie down at night and it's quiet. Not because the world got easier, because your mind stopped manufacturing emergencies from memories and predictions. You make a decision and you move. No 3-week rehearsal, no internal jury. You sit in silence and your brain doesn't scramble to fill it with disaster. You speak once in a room and don't spend the next 4 hours dissecting every syllable. You are numb. You are not detached. You are present, fully, dangerously present, in a world that profits from distraction. That is sovereignty. Not a wall against feeling, but a mind where your thoughts finally serve you instead of prosecuting you. That person is not a fantasy. That person exists on the other side of these 3 protocols, practiced daily, without exception, without negotiation. If you have made it this far, you have already separated yourself from the simulation. But understanding is not yet transformation. So I'm asking you to do 1 thing right now before you leave this video. Go to the comments and type, "I dismiss the court." That is your line in the sand. The public declaration that the trial is over, that your mind works for you now. It's not a wish, it's a verdict. Silencing the courtroom is only the first protocol, because overthinking has a partner, a deeper pattern that keeps recycling you through the same spirals, the same relationships, the same breaking points. The next video dismantles that completely. Your training continues now. I will see you there.